Welcome back, everyone. This is Real Boring Flips, and I'm Kevin. And I've been a reseller for over 25 years, but realistically serious about the last 5 or 6 years. And kind of did that as I was approaching retirement. And so we're here now. Later this year, I'll be retired from my day job. And so I've spent the last several years kind of refining a little bit here and there. Everything that I do is part of reselling, with inventory, purchasing, paperwork, how I ship things, how I list things. I've tried to make refinements in every aspect of that. And so I started this YouTube channel last year just as a way to talk about those things, and hopefully these things that I've been doing will help other people in their reselling journey. I work off the value for value model, so I'm hoping that this is valuable to you, and in return I ask that you like the videos, subscribe to the channel, comment, send comments, maybe even share these videos with people that you know that you think might enjoy these. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that. It's been a fun almost 1 year so far, and really excited about where we can take this in the future. Really have enjoyed the interaction, so please send those comments. I enjoy the communication. I really like to know if there's something that you really enjoy about the video, if there's something you want to see me do, or want to hear me talk about. So I'm always interested in what you have to share. We're going to jump over to the other table here in a minute, and we'll go through everything we sold in the month of June. And these last several months have really been building one after the next after the next. June was a great month. Now I'm going to be gone a little bit in July, so it'll probably a little bit downslope on comparing July to June, but July is already starting off great. So we'll see where we end up. But I'll put up a screen where I'm at right now with my 90-day sales. And if you're interested, I do post my sales on Instagram on Real Boring Flips. And sometimes I'll update my status, my 90-day sales rate. And for those of you that haven't watched this channel before, I'm part-time. This has always been a part-time deal for me. And so I routinely have about 1.5 sales a day. I think right now I'm about 120, 130 sales in 90 days. And that's about where I can be with the amount of time it takes to list items, ship items, pack items, ship items, and with the time I have available. So I'm hoping that once I switch into full-time or more time than I am now, that I'll be able to manage that number that works for me and works for my family. So I appreciate your interest in that. For those of you that have been here before, I know why you're here, and this is why you're here. You're here to see what I'm enjoying, and today I'm going to try some Kern's pear nectar. Now, have not tried this before, obviously, but this ought to be interesting. Pears are not my favorite fruit, but maybe pear nectar juice is, so we're going to give this a shot. This is 25% juice, so this has a whopping 140 calories. So let's see if it tells me what's in here. Definitely there's some sugar in here, so maybe it'll be sweet pear nectar juice. Hang on. That is sweet. That is thick too. Wow. Now let's get over there, and then we'll come right back when we're done. So the month of June started off like a bang. The first item was this large balsa plane, remote control balsa plane. You saw this in my first live shopping video, and this was just a really nice find. I think I paid $80 for it, and I got my $249.88 asking price, and really I was just really thrilled that sold so quickly and for a great profit. I spent some time at a garage sale. One day, just happened to be at a garage sale, off the beaten path a little bit, and they had a bunch of DVDs, and so I sorted through what they had. They wanted $2 a piece for them. Didn't I think I found a couple of Xbox controllers. They didn't have any video game themselves, but I found this disc, and it was a 6 disc movie set. And anytime you see multiple movie sets like this that are horror movies, it's almost always worth picking up. And this one sold at an offer of $45. Not bad for a $2 investment. I've been selling, you've seen in my last couple of months, several solds for these large lots of military strategy gaming magazines. This was a set of Europa magazine. I think this was the second set, so I sold one last month as well. And a lot of times these are going to the same buyer, so this one also went to the person that bought the first set. And not bad, 22 magazines for $85. I got several of these older Matchbox Skybuster planes in the package, and I bought bought a set of I think 4 of these, and I paid about $7 a piece for them. And I've sold a couple now at my list price of $24.88, so good turns. I picked these up, didn't really comp them, but I picked them up because they were old enough to not have barcodes on the packaging, and so I used that as my guide. More juicer parts. This was from a Mueller juicer, which are not as common, German brand. I've sold a few of these actually, a few of these lids and pushers, and I think even last month I sold a blade for one of these. So they sell not as quickly as some of the other juicers, but if I'm only paying $2, it's probably still a good investment, although I really limit which parts I try to sell. I don't try to sell the motors. I randomly picked up this Sonicare toothbrush at a garage sale. I think I paid $1 for it, and it was nice. I mean, it was a nice one. You know, obviously you're not going to sell the brush head, but this is the same toothbrush I use. I probably could have just kept it, but I already had a nice one, and I took I think I took an offer at $10.88 for this one, or maybe I had it listed for that price, but it ended up selling, but boy, it took a long time. Who knew that people just aren't clamoring for used toothbrushes? This item was something I bought several years ago as part of a large lot of space-themed stuff. This was a large model, probably 3 feet long in the box, and I had it for a long time. I kept kind of moving the price around, and I finally dropped it to $3.99, and it sold relatively quickly. Now this sale was one of those ones where I was a little hesitant to even ship it because it was a brand new, like that day buyer, zero feedback. And what I think, I didn't realize you could do this on eBay, but apparently you can buy items as a guest. So you really don't even have an account. You're just buying an item. I had no idea that was a thing, and I think that's the case here, because I sent several messages to this buyer without any kind of response ever. I did a little sleuthing. I did confirm that the person's name was actually the address. So I was able to sleuth around and just confirm that I was actually shipping it to a person by the same name at that address. And I've still got a couple of days left in my 30-day window, but I think I'll be okay there. I sell these little Franklin electronic dictionaries, or sometimes they're electronic Bibles. I don't remember exactly where I got this one, but I think I got a bunch of stuff like this together for very little. I think at a picker pile. So these don't bring a lot of money, but I probably wouldn't. In fact, I just passed up a couple of these at an estate sale. Just not worth my time to have them listed. They just don't bring the money, unless they're maybe new in a box, or have. I think some of these have little modules that you can insert in the back. So some of that stuff brings a little extra money. Here's some more Well, these were mediumship cards, but think tarot cards when you see stuff like this. Also, something I really don't pick up unless I can comp a really great item. And I think last month you saw a really great one. Unless it was this month, we'll see if it shows up later in the series here. These Bose speakers are also something I really don't pick up anymore, although I made pretty good money on these. I think I only paid maybe even $5 for these because I got them cheap at a estate sale pickup. But I tend to not buy these anymore unless they're in the box or new in the box. In the packaging, they seem to get a little more money. Here's some more juicer parts. These were the Hamilton Beach juicer. They have these little plastic clamps on the side to hold the juicer together, and for some reason they must break periodically, because I've sold I think 3 sets of these. Now I buy the juicer for $2 and then I strip out parts for it, and so I make good money on these, and they sell relatively quickly. If I could just have a whole, like a source for just juicers at $2 a piece, I'd be doing well. You saw this one in a video quite a while ago when I actually picked this up. This was the Russian submarine from Hunt for Red October, and this was a nice model. I mean, it didn't say Hunt for Red October on the box, but that's what that is. And I got it. It was a great deal at a Value Village in my area, and I knew eventually it would sell, and I eventually did get my $44.88, and I think I only paid $6, maybe $7 for this item. Here's an item that you should look out for. They look just like a random remote, but I knew what it was when I saw it on the shelf at Goodwill, and I knew about what I could get for it because my parents had a Sleep Number bed, and we inherited it. And it was like this one. It had 2 zones, so the mattress was really 2 different zones. So you could have cool, different temperatures on either side, and that's what this controller did. And the buyer that actually bought it asked if that's what this was. So I was very familiar with it. I was happy to take an offer at $49. I think I had it listed. Actually, I had it listed at $50, I think, and he asked if it would work for his needs, and I told him that he could return it even though I don't have just that kind of return, that he could return it. And so he was very happy with it and gave me some great feedback. But keep your eye out for Sleep Number remotes. Now this remote is for the firmness and temperature of the mattress. There's also a Sleep Number remote for when you have where your head articulates up, your feet articulate up, to run that motor. So there's a couple of different remotes, but still all of them are very good. I bought this joystick this was a great estate sale. It was online, and then the entire house was a pick or pile. And so I made sure to get there early, as soon as they started allowing pickups. And I spent hours in that house, and I've sold so much stuff from that, just the picker pile. And this was one of them. Now, this was also the home of the gentleman that had lived there was a F-4 Phantom fighter pilot. And I actually somehow I ended up with a memory stick that has a bunch of photographs of an F-4 Phantom that I think he visited, that was being rebuilt or refurbished. Really interesting. So it's kind of neat to think that he used this to play games on his computer. These mesh Wi-Fi routers are worth picking up if you get the right ones. Now, I kind of swore off buying these if they weren't in a box, but when I found these, I paid, I think, $8 a piece for them, and they had the original AC adapters, and it was easy to test them. And so I ended up just putting them together, because if you have a mesh setup, you might want more than one. So I put these together, and relatively quickly sold them at my list price of $59.88. So not bad for a basically $16 investment. This Blendtec blender, now I've seen Blendtec blenders on other YouTube channels, and I just have never seen one in the wild. I found this one at Goodwill. It was $50 with the pitcher, and I waited until I could get it at 20% off. So I paid $40 for it. I haven't sold the pitcher yet, but I sold the motor at $55. I took an offer. I felt like I just wanted to at least get my initial investment back, and when I sell the pitcher, I'll be able to really make my profit on it. So these next two items are both bread machine pans with paddles, and that's what I do for the most part. If I'm buying a bread machine, I'm buying them for $2 on discount day, and I'm selling the pan and paddle. Sometimes I'll try and sell the lid or maybe the controller panel, but for the most part it's the pan and paddle. And the first one sold at, I took an offer at 30. I probably had it listed at 39. And the second one I took an offer at 18. And really, for $2 investment, it's worth taking offers if I can get a quick sale and still make pretty good money on those. This was a great mitt. I kind of maybe I shouldn't have taken the offer I did, but I only paid $5 for it. I bought 3 mitts at a garage sale. Really nice mitts, no writing on them or anything. And this was probably the nicest one of the 3, but I took an offer at 32, so happy to get my investment back on all 3 plus profit. So the other 2 will sell. I don't know if they were quite as nice as this one. So here's another Monster High doll. Now I actually bought a bunch around Christmas time in clearance, and I have not listed those yet, but I've sold several used ones, and this one came in a bag with 4 other dolls, but I noticed this one was unique, and it was had just one giant eye, so I thought it might be more valuable, and sure enough it was. I took an offer at 50, and I think I only paid $13 for the bag, so I'll probably put I don't know if any of the other ones are worth much alone, so I usually just kind of put a bunch together and sell them that way when they're loose, unless they're valuable. Here's another juicer pulp bin. This is probably the best part of the juicers, is the pulp bin. I don't know what happens. I don't know how people end up losing their pulp bin, but I sell the pulp bins first of anything that I sell, especially these Jack LaLanne juicers. And they have different models. Like this is the MT1000, but there's also like an E1188 or an E1189, and they're all basically the same thing. I'm not sure why they're different models, but these sell pretty good. I paid $2 for the whole thing, and here's one item at $24.88. Here's more of the strategy magazine gaming magazines. I've talked about this probably too much, but I got just a huge source on Facebook Marketplace, a huge amount of these strategy military magazine sets, and I've been selling them and selling them and selling them. These were a little less valuable ones, but I ended up selling, I split it into 2 lots, sold both lots to the same buyer, and they paid my asking price. I think it was $59, basically $59.88 for each lot. So I'm pennies into these. Maybe my investment in these 2 lots was $5 to $10. So I recently got a big box of Legos from my neighbor's garage sale, and a year or 2 ago at my other neighbor's garage sale, I got another box of just loose Legos, and this was from the first set. I haven't listed anything from the new set yet, but an amazing amount of valuable Legos in there. This wasn't super valuable, and I took an offer at 35, so I was glad to do that. The entire box that I got from that first set of Legos, I think I paid $30, and I'm probably well into the $500 range now. These little sharp wizard organizers, not too valuable. I got these in a picker pile. One of them sort of worked, but it had a burn-in on the screen. The other one worked fine. I figured they'd be worth something to somebody. Pennies in on these, and I took an offer at $25. Here's more juicer parts. This is the Jack LaLanne juicer, and this one was from the E1189, but again, I think the pusher itself is the same for all those multiple models. So I probably should list them that way, but for some reason I didn't. I took an offer at $11 for this. These aviation headsets I thought would do great. Unfortunately, they didn't do as great as I thought they would do. I paid about $180 for these at an estate sale. I think I got into a bidding war and just got away from myself, but I was seeing a lot of great comps, and I just never got that for them. I gradually brought the price down, but I was glad to get to my asking of $249.88. So at least I did make some money on these. This zip spin, this is the second one of these that I've sold. This one, crazy enough, was only $15 at Goodwill, and it was brand new in the box. Now it was a brown box, not like a retail box, and it came from like a, I don't know, kind of like a QVC, like an ordering channel. But it was really nice. I was able to test it. I actually have two other ones sitting here that I'm sort of using, but the first one I sold was this exact model, but it was just loose, not in a box, and I think I got about $60 for it. But when I saw this one and it was brand new and it came with some blank discs and everything, I just priced it randomly high at $179.88, and I got my asking price. So awesome. This printer was kind of a funny deal. At an estate sale, online estate sale, they had another printer, another Epson stylus photo printer, but it was a nicer one. And I paid up for that one and sold it relatively quickly for a lot of money, hundreds of dollars. This one I thought was going to be a good one, but it was older, not as desirable, but it came in the box, so that was key. And I listed it relatively cheaply. It sat forever, and I was just about to kick it out of my store and dispose of it when I sold it at my list of $49.88. But the best part was it went international. So for you eBay sellers out there, if you sell something international, it's like a golden ticket, because you're not going to have to worry about any issues the buyer has with the item or anything wrong. Now I sold this one as parts only, but for some reason, even though I put the exact weight and measure in for the shipping, the buyer still paid like $120, I think, for shipping, and it only cost me maybe $40 to ship it. So I don't know what happened there, but when you're like me and you take offers on all your sales. If someone wants to pay the full amount and they don't make an offer, I assume they're fine with what the total amount is. Now, if they reach out to me and say, can you do something better? That's when I tell them, just make an offer. So no, I don't routinely return extra on shipping because my buyer is satisfied when they make the purchase. I've sold several of these Matchbox Super King sets. This is actually the last one. This one wasn't as desirable as the others. I sold that Ferrari transportation truck. That was really nice. This one I think I only paid $11 for it, and I took an offer at $40, which was fine. So here's a great item. This came at my free garage sale. Now, I have a video that I'm working on that talks about that and shows you what I got at the latest one. They do about one a month for about 4 months out of the summer months. So they've had two so far this year. The next one's coming up in a few weeks. The first one, I got this, basically just a random thing in a box probably, or maybe in a pile of cords. And I look for stuff like this. Now, I had no idea it was valuable, but it passed my Venn diagram of it looked cool, it looked well made, and it was relatively heavy as far as what an item would weigh. Sometimes you pick that stuff up and it's super light. So this passed my Venn diagram, but at the same time, I'm paying pennies on the dollar. I'm normally paying about $10 to $20 a bag, so like a reusable grocery sack kind of thing. So this is barely taking up any room. And there was a comp, but it was a different model. I finally found a comp. There was nothing listed, nothing sold, but I finally found a comp for a different model, a higher number, so I thought maybe a more advanced model. that it sold, but it was at offer, so I couldn't really tell what it sold, but it was like $80 and then some offer. So I just decided I'd price this at 200 and see what happened, and I took an offer almost immediately at 189. So I was, who knows, maybe I underpriced it, but that was such a great sale. And for, if you're wondering what this did, was it would convert, like in the United States it's NTSC is the video signal type of video signal that we use, and in like the UK it's PAL, in other places it's PAL, and this would let you convert back and forth between those formats using S video or RCA video, those different inputs and outputs, and you could convert the signal. So probably really desirable for the person who really needed it, and this person really needed it. This Handycam was one of the kind that I just never look at. It had a hard drive in it. I didn't want to mess with that. I didn't think people would want that. The only camcorders I really sell are ones where people probably have home videos on tape and they want to get them off tape onto something else. So I couldn't imagine this would be very valuable. And I paid $20 for it. It came with the Sony power cord. The battery, there was no battery, or the battery didn't work, so I bought a new battery for about $8, and it charged it up. Everything worked great, and it sold really fast at my list of $149.88. So I'm on the lookout for these. I used to pass them up, but now they're on my menu. This calculator is another thing I really don't buy anymore, but I can't help buying them. I paid $10 for this. I took I priced this low, and it sold instantaneously like they all do. But I figured I'd try to find a price that they would sell immediately. So now I know pretty much I can get $34.88 instantaneously if I list these. I have a bunch of these, so I'll probably just start listing them and selling them immediately. I might go to 39 and just see what happens, but they're not worth the 50 or 60 that I used to get. But still, I might as well send them out the door. Okay, so here's one of the items that was randomly acquired. Now, I was in Goodwill, and if you've been watching my channel, we have a new grandbaby, and I was in Goodwill and I found this Cybex Pream stroller, only $25, and I thought I'm gonna buy it. If the kids don't want this, I will part it out, because it had great part out comps. It was missing the sun visor, and it was missing the little bar, like a safety bar that goes around you. And so the kids did want it, and I thought if I could just find those pieces, then they're good to go. I couldn't find just the pieces that I needed, because I needed the right color for the sun visor. Well, eventually I found, just a few hours north of us actually, the nearly identical stroller, same color, and so the sun visor was the same color and it would fit, and the bar was the same bar, and so it would fit. I paid, I think, $200 for that stroller, and they shipped it to me. And what we figured out was, now we have one here at our house, they have one at their house, and when they come to visit us, they just bring the sun visor and the bar, and so we can swap it in between the two strollers. So they don't have to bring the stroller with them, because it's about a 3-hour drive. So the one that I bought on eBay came with these two adapters, which these are for if you have the stroller and the car seat that you can also get. And we obviously didn't need that, so I listed these for sale, and I took an offer at $45, and they sold pretty quickly. So this just knocked the price down, our investment price in the stroller. So it was a great sale. This Adesso trackball mouse, I wasn't going to buy it. I sell the Logitech mouse balls and Microsoft. Some of the Microsoft ones are really great. This one just it wasn't worth picking up at $6, which was the original price they had on it. I came back on a discount day where it was $2, so I did buy it. It just hung around for a little while, and so I finally took an offer at $15. Not something I normally would buy, but I thought for $2 I might as well give it a shot. These Ray-Bans sunglasses, these were actually my son's. He bought them, I think at Christmas time, got a Macy's gift card or something, and we went to Macy's and he bought these sunglasses. He's worn them the last couple of years. He's heading off to law school on the East Coast. So he's trying to sell off some things to raise a little bit of money to support his education. And so he actually had a garage sale. I bought a bunch of his stuff and just paid him up front, and now I'm selling the pieces off. And so this was one of those items, and I took an offer at 50. That was a pretty good price for these Ray-Bans. These, if you're a reseller, if you've been a reseller for any length of time, where you buy cameras, you know Olympus Infinity stylus zoom cameras are really great finds. This isn't the $200 or $300 stylus, but this was still a really good one. I took an offer. I probably shouldn't even have taken the offer. I should have kept. I think I had it listed for 150. I probably could have gotten closer to that, but I only paid $8 for this at Goodwill, and it was in really nice shape, and so it was worth taking the $100. But man, some of these cameras are great. This is something I wouldn't have bought. Actually, I should have looked a little closer. It was basically new in the box. I don't think it had ever been used, and it was $15. But when I got home, I realized that the inside the main housing, it was cracked. And when I was looking at comps, I noticed a bunch of the comps were cracked in the same location. So I think this was a flawed item, and so not something I would have bought. But weirdly, when I was doing my inventory for this purchase, they never charged me for this item. Somehow this item never got scanned when I was paying for my other items. So essentially I got it for free. I priced it low because of the crack. I think somebody got a pretty good deal. We already had one of these for our mixer, so I didn't keep it. Otherwise I would have just kept it. I searched for these little Casio keyboards, and you saw, I think it was last month, the one I sold that was really, I mean, it was a $250 one, or close to that. This one, not as great. I got it in an estate sale, an online estate sale, and I think it came with the stuff I really wanted, so this was kind of a bonus buy. And I took an offer at 34. My buyer already gave me great feedback on it. Okay, this was the last of my doorbell cordless phones. Now, these came last year on Black Friday at our Goodwill when everything was 50% off. And I found this box of cordless phones, and they were $8, so marked down to $4. I bought them, got home, and realized they were supposed to have a doorbell camera with them, but that wasn't in the box. That was fine. I normally just sell them like this, where it's just the handset. But I thought it'd be great to be able to test it if I had the camera. And so I went back the next day and randomly found the camera just laying on the shelf. Someone had taken it out of the box. One of my biggest pet peeves with Goodwill shoppers is taking stuff out of boxes and then just wandering off, leaving the pieces strewn on the shelves. So fortunately, I was able to find it. They gave it to me for free, and I've sold all the sets. I sold the main unit with the doorbell, and I sold the 3 separate handsets with chargers. And I made a little over $100 on the whole $4 investment. So good ones to keep your eye out for. So it brings us to this final item for the month of June. This has been a great month, by the way. And to be honest, July is starting off the same way. This is a Ninja blender motor. Now, I hardly ever try to sell the motors anymore, but this was a really good one. It's a touchscreen motor, actually really nice. I already sold the blender long ago, the pitcher long ago, and I sold the pitcher for like $50. I paid not very much for this whole set. I don't have the figure in front of me, but I think it was about $25. For some reason, they had this one marked way down, and because it looked just like all the other Ninjas, and they usually do $25 for a Ninja blender motor and pitcher. So the $50 I got for the pitcher and the $40 I got for the motor was a good investment. It's right on the fringe of being worth my time, but they sell pretty quickly. And this was a nice motor to begin with, so I felt like it would bring a little bit more and sell a little better. So that was it for the month of June. And we're back. Great month. Really excited to see some of the older items selling. I think my consistent listing, where I'm at least triggering some kind of listing every day. I try to do 5 a day at least. I was a beta tester for an app, a reselling app, and I didn't end up using the app because it didn't provide me more that I already kind of was doing. But one feature that it does, which kind of intrigued me, was when your items, because all my items, pretty much all my items are buy it now, not auction listings. It will automatically, every 30 days your item relists, but it's not like a and sell similar to eBay. It just kind of starts again. So what that app does is it will actually automate that process. So as your items are coming to that end of that 30 days, it will end them and then sell similar, create a new listing and sell similar. So I took that approach, and I'm just doing that myself. So every day, maybe in the evening, I'll pull up my active listings, sort by ending date, and so I'll see the ones that are just about to end, and I'll just end those listings and then sell similar. And sometimes I'll tweak them. One thing I have noticed is some of my older listings, somehow they were still on the old shipping, so that might be why they weren't selling, is the old shipping was first class mail, and you can't, I don't even know what happens if that's the only postage you have. So I've been able to correct some listings with that feature, but I think that's been helping. And then I'm also actually listing new items, and I've gotten my listings up to about 900 listings. It's dropped because I've sold a few, but I'm trying to get to 1,000 listings over these next couple of months, and I have plenty of stuff here below, storage units, tons of stuff ready to list. So I'll get to 1,000, and then I'll decide what to do. I might actually open a second store and have just 2 different eBay accounts. I think that's probably beneficial for me. But I want to get to 1,000 listings. I think with my new approach and that many listings, I'll be able to continually refine listings, drop things that aren't selling, and bring in new items that are sellable. So I'm excited to try some of those things. So as I said earlier, I've been refining my business over the last 5 years. Every year, in fact, I specifically focus on 1 or 2 different aspects. And so I really think I've dialed a lot of this stuff in, and ready for this next phase where I'm not getting up and going to work and then coming home and then working on this. I'm getting up and working on this until I don't want to work on this for the rest of the day, and I go do something else. So we've got plenty of other things to do, and so I'm excited to kind of dial that in and take you all along with me on that journey. So really appreciate you hanging in there for this video. Really appreciate the likes, the subscribes, the comments, and sharing the videos with other people. And as I always say, come join me again next time. That is some sweet nectar. That's what she said.